Good afternoon. Welcome in to the Boston Sports Summit. Let me know if you guys can see. There we go. All right, now we're back. All right. Welcome into the Boston Sports Summit. I am your host, Tim Barnett. That is right. We are back, baby. It is so good to be back. We get to talk all things Boston sports, especially these here Red Sox, because it is the trade deadline season. And with the trade deadline season, of course, you're going to run into several things that are going to come out. One of them being the fact that what are the Red Sox going to do? That's the million-dollar question. Right out of the gate, what are the Red Sox going to do? Because with that, and it is one of those questions that over the last 5 years has been one of struggle. You know, the Red Sox have never really invested in, as I've said before, the investment made with Kyle Schwarber, which I'll get to in about 5 to 10 minutes. The investment made with Kyle Schwarber was one out of pure luck. They weren't intending this to work. It just did. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens because tomorrow at 6 p.m. is the trade deadline, okay? That is it. It is official in the books. It is no more trades after tomorrow night. Now, with the Red Sox as it stands, okay, they just won. They kicked the Twins' ass today. It did help that they threw in their position player to pitch once it was a 9-1 game, and then we just added 4 more runs to top it off to a 13-1 victory. The game was over after about the 5th inning, and the Red Sox, they are now 8 games above 500. Excuse me. Just always love trying to figure that out off the top of my head. Yep, they are 8 games above 500. They are 59-51. And there's a lot riding into this because last season at this time, yes, they came out of the All-Star break and went into a wicked slump, a really bad slump at that. Now, they were killing it in the first half. They had the best ERA. They were a team that is on the rise, ready to go and move. But they came out of that trade, the All-Star game, in a slump. They got killed by the Dodgers. And then Craig Breslow said, screw you. I'm not really going to invest in this team. I'll make a few minor deals here and there. And then they just bombed. They bombed, finished 3rd in the AL East, no playoffs, even though had they invested, had they really thrown some chips into there, we could have been sitting in a very different position right now. But we're not. That is 4 straight years of not making the playoffs. Last time we made it was in 21. So this is a very pivotal trade deadline for the Boston Red Sox. As you can see, and as is on the as is on the thumbnail, the time to invest is now. I don't know how much clearer I could be with this. You know, why do I say the time to invest is now? Is because when you look at FanGraphs and the odds of us making the playoffs, it sits at 59.4%. Now, I'll go deeper into that graph in just a minute, but I do want to bring up something that Chris Cotillo was talking about on his Mass Live podcast with Sean McAdam. Take a listen.
And looking at the odds, FanGraphs has them right now. They're 6 games above 500. They're in the wild card mix, as we talked about. A 48.8% chance of making the playoffs.
As I just said, it is now 59.4, so better than 48.8. But here's the rest of his quote, which is really what I find interesting about the Red Sox and investing in the trade deadline. Here it is.
I do think there's also people from the very top. We know John Henry thinks this way, that looks at that, but really looks at the number next to it on FanGraphs, Sean, which says the chance of winning a World Series is 2%. This is a guy, and this is an ownership group that's won 4 of them. they're not going to get excited over a wild card round appearance. And so to me, in the back of my mind, we know that John Henry, in talking about why or why not in private conversations with people in the past, he has wanted to add to the team or not, has cited World Series odds as a factor he looks at. That is a fact.
World Series odds. Why does that matter, right? Because when you think about it, and you're doing a World Series, you're going by, hey, are we going to win the World Series? That's your metric for deciding whether you're going to invest in this team or not. To me, that's as stupid as it can get. Why do I say that? Because as it's currently constituted, there is only 2 teams in the entire Major League Baseball, 2, that have a greater than 10% chance of winning the World Series. Every other team, it's either 0 or somewhere between 2 and 9. So, if that's the case, then, John, if we're going to live by your worldview, the one that says, I'm going to make all the money and it doesn't matter, as long as we have a greater than 10% chance to win the World Series at the trade deadline, then only 2 teams should really be investing right now. Only 2, which is absurd. The way you think about this is absolutely nuts. And that's why the time to invest is now. Because when you look at what Fangraphs actually says about the Red Sox, their chances to make the playoffs are at 59.4%. Their chance to clinch the wild card is 52%. To clinch the bye, you got 4.5% to win to the division. You got 7.4% to make the World Series. To make it, not win, make the World Series, you're at 6.6%. And then to become World Series champs, you're at 2.6%. So that, to me, is fair game. Let's roll with that. Let's look at how we're playing. We really need 3 positions, and one needs priority more than the other. But when you look at it, why not? And I already know this answer to why not. I mean, I've talked about it a million times since I've started this show. But look at it. This is what we're doing. This is why we're going to go. This is why we should go, to be able to take that opportunity, invest right now, and let's roll with it. Because in the past, right, going back to 2021, the trade deadline history has been the acquisitions of Kyle Schwarber, Austin Davis, and Delino DeShields. All right? Those are the 21 trade acquisitions. I'm going to go into a little bit more detail afterwards. But in 22, we had a lot more trade acquisitions in Emmanuel Valdez, Tommy Pham, Reese McGuire, Wilyer Abreu, and Eric Hosmer. Now, we all know about Wilyer Abreu. All right? Let's not jump for joy, but hey, it's a good move. We got somebody at least. In 23, Luis Urias, that was it. And that was probably one of the many reasons why Bloom got fired. And then in 24, Quinn Priester, James Paxton, Danny Jansen, Lucas Sims, Luis Garcia. Now, outside of Wilyer Abreu, how many of those guys are in the Red Sox system? Oh, wait. That's right. 0 remain in the Red Sox system. And meanwhile, when you want to go take that deeper dive, in 21, Kyle Schwarber, we all know and all love Kyle Schwarber. If you don't, then I don't know what's wrong with you. But Kyle Schwarber was traded to us injured. So he missed the first month that he was here. And then absolutely lit it up. Had that bad play at first base, then made it up, tipped his cap to the fans, had fun with it. He was just a great guy. Like it was really fun to watch. Hit a couple grand slams, couple key home runs in the playoffs to get us to the ALCS, which was a blast. It was a great time as a Red Sox fan watching that 2021 team. But then you look at the other guys. Delino DeShields never played for the Red Sox at all. And then Austin Davis had 19 games with a 4.86 ERA in 21, and then was here in 22, where he played in 50 games and had a 5.47 ERA. So, not good. The only good acquisition was Kyle Schwarber, and I think it was kind of like a shoo-in deal because he was injured. Then in 22, of course, we all know about Wilyer Abreu, but that also took 2 years for it to pan out, you know? So, getting into it, Emmanuel Valdez bounced around the majors and minors, had 49 games in 23, 76 in 24. Tommy Pham played in 53 games with a 234 batting average here in Boston. Reese McGuire played here from 22 to 24, had played played no more than 73 games in his 3 years here. Eric Hosmer had 14 games with a 244 batting average and a 320 on-base percentage. Hosmer was pretty good, but didn't work. You know, they just didn't re-sign him. In 23, Luis Urias, 32 games in 23 with a 225 batting average. Not good. In 2024, starting from the bottom up, Luis Garcia, 15 games with an 8.22 ERA. Lucas Sims, 15 games pitched with a 6.43 ERA. Danny Jansen, 30 games played as backup catcher, a .188 batting average. Not good. James Paxton, 3 games with a 4.09 ERA. And then the pride and joy of that trade deadline, Quinn Priester from the Pirates. He started 1 game, 5 innings, had a .180 ERA. Meanwhile, this past offseason, got traded to Milwaukee, and has started 15 games with a 3.27 ERA. You don't think we could have used him this season with the fact that Tanner Houck fell off a cliff and we have no idea who? We have a rotating fifth starter pretty much every third week. I mean, it could have been nice, right? 15 games, 327, not bad. Pretty damn good for this day and age. But no, we just had to get rid of him. So, listen, the trade deadline has not been friendly to Boston recently. And I'm leaving Wilyer Abreu off. Kyle Schwarber was a good piece. But at the same time, like, he was injured, getting traded here. We didn't give up much to get him. So I don't know what they're going to do. Now, we do have a ton of capital. One of the best prospect pools in baseball right now. Yet, we're afraid of getting rid of these prospects to win now, win today. You know, that's my thing, is I don't care about our prospect pool, because when you look at it, look what we gave up for Sale. When we got Chris Sale, did any of those guys come back to really bite us in the ass? No, because it's just they're still not there, or they played, but they weren't great. You know, they might have played a couple games here and there, but it just didn't pan out. It didn't. And yet Chris Sale won a World Series with us. got 300 strikeouts. Yes, he dealt a lot of arm injuries, and it did suck that we had to get rid of him. I think it was kind of mutual, even though the fact that we went out and got of course, name blank. But Vaughn Grissom, who is still in AAA, and even he himself doesn't see the opportunity to come and play for the big league. Not just because he sucked when he came up here, but we're kind of crowded right now. I mean, the fact that Maye got hurt opened the door for us to keep Jarren Duran. And I'm going to talk about him in just a second. But this is an opportunity where we can take advantage of our prospect pool and go out and acquire a top pitching talent like a Joe Ryan. I understand the Twins are going to want a hefty sum for that. If we can even toss in Yoshida to get him out of here, I'm okay. Hell, I'd trade Yoshida for cash considerations tomorrow. But that's just me. That's just me. I don't think Yoshida is what everyone thinks he or wants him to be or whatever. In my opinion, I don't think Yoshida's that good. Just saying. He's a decent hitter. Great. Anything else he does? No. Meanwhile, Jarren Duran is the name that's been thrown around time after time after time after time. And I will admit, it's hard for me to want to trade Duran. I love Jarren Duran. I love his attitude. He's been through a lot with this organization, and he's finally kind of gotten it together, it seems like. Not just playing every day, but also kind of that, hey, I've been the lowest of lows. I've dealt with all the negativity, all the adversity, and now I'm rising above it and I'm killing it, which is what I like. And that is exciting to me. That is what I'm high on. But if we can turn it around and get a Joe Ryan who still has several years of control to be the number 2 guy, that's going to take a lot. I would really have to consider that just because that is somebody that you can see. Hell, if we go, Tigers are one of the best teams in baseball right now. And they have Tariq Skubal, one of the best, if not the best lefty pitcher in baseball right now. We have arguably the best, if not second best, left-handed pitcher in Garrett Crochet. But then what? If you have Joe Ryan as your game 2 starter, wouldn't you feel comfortable with Joe Ryan compared to the rest of the compared to the rest of the Tigers pitching staff? Yes, you had to give up a heck of a player in Jarren Duran. But again, I would be really intrigued to see what happens. The only thing is getting John Henry on board for this, because John Henry is the one who is dictating our moves time after time after time. The fact that we signed Alex Bregman and he posted that video of him smoking the cigar after we signed him, kind of, being like, yeah, look at me. See, I can still spend when I want to. Don't hate me, Red Sox Nation, because I am investing in this team. As I said then, that was awesome. Great move. But that's one guy. And if John Henry is going to prove it to us that he is going to invest in this team, that is where he's going to have to show it. He's going to have to show it by going out and getting a Joe Ryan. I know this talks about Yandy Diaz out there at first base. The Red Sox are rumored to be in on it. Let's go and get Yandy Diaz too. I don't see why not. You know, the only thing holding us back is money. Every single time with this organization, it is going to be money, money, money. Now, am I going to be pissed off if, we make some acquisitions, that help better our team? No, of course not. But this is the opportunity to go out and get the big name guy right now. It's just going to be interesting to see if Craig Breslow has the balls and John Henry lets him to go out and get that guy. Judging by recent history, it's not going to happen. That's my biggest fear, is that I'm going to come on here next week and say, well, there we go again. The season's lost. The season's over. The Red Sox did not do anything. They are just going to be riding the wave as is. I'm going to hang my hat and just, call it a day, because that's what they do. This team, who was known for being big spenders, for being up there, like the New York Yankees, like the LA Dodgers, now look at this team as an effing portfolio project. They just want to rake in the money. And you know what the sad part is? We let them. We're not throwing riots on Lansdowne Street. And I'm not advocating for riots. But that's it. That's all it is. We're content with letting John Henry and the rest of the Red Sox organization and ownership and front office get away with crap like this or like this. Bums left and right. None of them are still with this organization. It's going to suck. I am fearful that tomorrow at 6:05 p.m., because you still have the deals that will happen at 5:59, but they're on hold, so it gets trickled in. At 6:05, if the Red Sox don't make an effing move, I'm going to tell you right here, season's done. We're going to finish third or fourth in the AL East. We're not going to make the playoffs. And they're going to shut down Garrett Crochet in the middle of August, if not early September, and just pack it in for 2026. See what the free agent class is. I'll be checking the free agent class on August 6th, because that is when we're going to do our show next week. If they don't make a single deal, which also wouldn't surprise me. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what is going on. Let's check out some of the comments here. Whoa. All right. Not Doug. Online. Welcome back. Thank you. Glad to be back. All right. Joe Averso. A lot of comments here. I think they understand what the experience would mean for this young team. You're right. They very well could understand the experience. But, Joe, the thing about experience is the nerds, the analytics, the geeks look at playoffs the same way they look at the regular season. They just see it as extended games. They don't see David Ortiz stepping up to plate in the bottom of the 8th inning in 2013 against the Tigers in Game 2, down 4, and saying that home run was not clutch, because they don't believe in such things as clutch. That's the problem with the nerds and the analytics. So experience to them means nothing, because the playoffs are the same as a regular season. My thought is, wouldn't you want to throw in the chips because you're going to make more money? Having playoff games at Fenway is good for your bottom line. If I'm going to give them anything, that's what it is. You're going to double. You already have the highest ticket prices. That's one. But to have playoff ticket prices, you're going to double the regular season and go from there. So, Joe also saying we shouldn't waste our trade capital. Everyone is way overpriced, not worth it. Okay, depending on who, though. Joe Ryan might be worth it. He's still young, and he's still got a few years left. So because he's got a few years left and still control, that's why they are that's why they're overpriced. Now, not Doug. Seriously, if they can do something now, do it. Henry has too many teams, has many teams to worry about. The Red Sox should be the crown jewel of his list. I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, hell, it's called the Fenway Sports Group. But with Fenway Sports Group, they are going out and acquiring Liverpool. They bought the PGA Tour. They're, bought the Penguins. I think they're trying to sell the Penguins now. They're now about to take the money that they saved from investing in Rafael Devers and buying a majority stake in a La Liga team over in Spain. I mean, this is the problem, and I brought this up a couple months ago, that this whole dynamic now of conglomerates or groups buying teams, it diminishes the product from the fan standpoint. Because I'll be honest with you, I care more than they do. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if I care more than the players do. And that's a tragedy. The fact that the rivalries are non-existent now, the fact that the hatred is non-existent now, it's only between the fans, just doesn't make it feel the same. And the fact that, like I said, I care only because it's the team I grew up rooting for, cheering for, watching win 4 World Series. And yet John Henry gets to sit back and be like, yeah, well, now deal with this. Deal with the fact that I refuse to spend. Deal with that. I won't, and I never will, because that is bull. The man spent and had a clear vision of winning titles. And now that he's won 4, he thinks he can sit back and enjoy his cigar after he signed one very good player in Alex Bregman. Yes, Aroldis Chapman has worked out. He's been great this season. But at the end of the day, yeah, great. You signed one in 6 years? What are you, stupid? Like, it's unbelievable. And I hate that. I hate that fact that the fans the diehard fans who really care about their teams in this game are just no longer valued. It's not about us. Sports are becoming more country club-esque every single year in these valuations of friggin' $6 billion, $10 billion, $12 billion. Like, what are we doing? I understand it's a heck of a time to be a sport team owner, but I mean, I'm sorry, like, it's unbelievable to me. And sorry for the sidetrack, but Joe, Breslow was a player. Breslow was as much of a player as I was. Now, I agree. Breslow played in Major League Baseball. I never played in Major League Baseball. I'm not trying to diminish that. But what I mean by that is he doesn't think like a Major League Baseball player. He doesn't. Craig Breslow is more of a nerd than he is a Major League Baseball player. That's just what it is. So that is a big issue when it comes to this Boston Red Sox. And yes, I do know Breslow got a ring. I do. Again, but the way the man talks, even he said it himself. He is more of a Yale grad student or a Yale, or an Ivy League guy than he is a ball player. But I digress. So now the Red Sox have a lot of questions. They do. And tomorrow, I think we're going to find a definitive answer on a lot of them. Who is this team? And I don't want to tell you what to do or what not to do, but do they deserve our support? We'll find out. Meanwhile, at least some good news has come around because it is football season and the Patriots training camp is done. It's done. The Patriots training camp has begun. Yes. Oh, it is so good to have football back in New England, and I'm very excited about it. Now, with training camp, and I was there last week, which was a blast. It was fun to be there. Fun to see the guys on the field. Mike Vrabel, Josh McDaniels, Drake May, everybody there. They are looking good. It's fun to be there, fun to watch, and just learn the guys, learn what's going on, see the ins and outs of the practice. There are still some things that they definitely need to work on. That's a fact. One of them is learning Josh McDaniels' system. I think that's going to be the biggest question mark going into the season because I think the defense, we got some guys. If Christian Gonzalez can stay healthy, please stay healthy. And Carlton Davis, heck of a 1-2 punch at cornerback. Then to add Milton Williams to the D line, to have Keon White hopefully have his breakout year, and a couple other guys, maybe, Robert Spillane taking over as the Mike linebacker would be, I think the defense is going to be just fine. I don't mean just fine as in middle of the pack, but I mean just fine. Like, you don't need to worry about them, especially with Mike Vrabel as the head coach. But it's all going to depend on Drake May and Josh McDaniels' system. Now, with Josh McDaniels' system, the thing I like about it is it's concise. And concise meaning 3 steps, bam. 5 steps, bam. This is where the ball needs to go. This is how you should throw it. This is where you're going to put it, especially if you see cover 3 or cover 2, and have all these different things. Now, when I mean concise, I also mean it's complicated. If Josh McDaniels is running the same system as he did with Tom Brady, can a second-year quarterback pick that up and learn that system? Because that system was basically developed when Tom Brady was here as a rookie, under Charlie Weiss, and McDaniels learned and worked at it over the years. And by 2006, it was the first time he was ever in that play calling position. So Tom Brady knew the system pretty much by that time, and it wasn't really much of a transition. Meanwhile, Drake May, who had Alex Van Pelt, who's very good at working with quarterbacks, and trying to develop, he had issues. He wasn't a good play caller. He wasn't a complex strategist or coach. But Josh McDaniels is. So I'm trying to still figure out and watch and see, is Drake May picking up the offense? Now, over the last couple of training camps, Drake May has thrown very little, if not no interceptions at all, maybe a couple of pass breakups, which is great news, especially after a couple months ago at OTAs when he had that 4 interception day and everybody lost their mind. And I'm trying to sit back and be like, hey, that's something to worry about. But at the same time, it's OTAs. I mean, hell, you could even get rid of all of last week, all of last week's training camp because they weren't in pads. They weren't in pads, and they weren't in pads until Monday, 2 days ago. So you really had 3 days of true training camp days. And Drake Maye seems to have done well. Again, an issue that I saw on Thursday and an issue that has kind of been there from time to time during this training camp, Drake Maye taking the snap under center. He never did that in college, and I don't even think he did that in high school. So he doesn't take – now he's trying to take the snap because, again, don't forget, Josh McDaniels was great with the play action. Look at Tom Brady, having all those play action calls under center. The whole play action from the shotgun really doesn't hit the same as a play action from under center, because if you think about it, all you're doing is turning to your left or your right, monitoring the guy, and then pulling back and then throwing. Versus under center, you take it, you turn your back, you fake the handoff, you duck down, kind of like you let it go, you roll out, and then you look up and you got the ball right here. The defensive line especially, shouldn't know that you have the ball, and if so, bam, you got plenty of time. You can find your man deep downfield, catch, touchdown. See, look how simple a play action play is. All it is, though, is you have to be under center for this to work. That's where I don't know if Drake Maye is going to, really understand. Not understand, excuse me. I don't know if Drake Maye is going to be able to pick it up in time. Season starts in just about a month, and I think that's really where it's going to, all depend on, one, Drake Maye picking up the offense, and two, the offensive line being able to protect Drake Maye. If the offensive line can't protect Drake Maye, then that's it. The game is over. We're going to be back to a bad team. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I'm very, very excited to have football back here in New England. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we got the first preseason game a week from Friday. So you bet I'm going to be tuning in for that. But all the while, I do want to say thank you so much for tuning in. We got a big day tomorrow. It's going to be trade deadline. Red Sox, are they going to buy? Is it time to invest? We'll find out tomorrow, 6 p.m. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, this is the Boston Sports Summit. I am your host, Tim Barnett. I want to thank you for tuning in. For once again, if you haven't, please, if you like what you hear, like, share, subscribe. It helps out everybody. And don't forget, we're part of the Grin Network. Grin Network's got a great whole host of shows, so check them out as well. Thank you so much, and I hope everybody has a great rest of their night. God bless.